Food for Books. My name is Salva, and today I'm going to be doing something really different, but really new and really fun. Penguin Random House and Fully Booked have both sent me things in the mail. I use the term mail very loosely. It makes it sound like I have a mailbox outside the house, like a little step-fordian wife, and check it every day for books, but mail's just a fancier way to put it. But things I was sent, I've not experienced this before, and not only did it happen for the first time, but it's all happened and all at once. So I'm very excited to share this with you guys, and if you're not too familiar with the book blogging universe, publishing houses will sometimes send book bloggers ARCs or advanced reading copies in exchange for reviews, honest reviews of course. I've learned from my expert book blogger friends when to post the negative review if they sent you a book and you're like, I freaking hate this book, and when to post the positive review. In addition, Fully Booked, which is a local bookstore chain here in the Philippines, sent me and the other members of Bookworms Unite PH a bunch of books, and they were so lovely to work with. They asked us what genres we preferred, and we all gave our individual answers, and they sent us books tailored to our tastes. So it was so lovely working with them. I hope to continue working with them in the future, but for now let's get into what they actually sent, because I've been blabbing for quite a while and you're just like, get to the book, Salva. Shut up and get to the books. The first book that Penguin Random House sent me, and it is the one I flipped out over the most, and it's the book I'm currently reading. It's American Royals by Catherine McGee. She wrote my favorite book of 2016, and incidentally, the concept of this story, which is, you know, an alternate universe monarchy, is the theme or the topic of my favorite book of 2015. So I'm really excited to see how this goes. Liking it so far. It's giving off the Selection by Kira Cass vibe so far in terms of the tone, and the story itself is very reminiscent of The Royal We and Royals by Rachel Hawkins. So this is set in an alternate universe where at the end of the Revolutionary War in the US, all that Hamilton funness, instead of being offered the presidency, George Washington was like, I'ma be king. And so he became king and America turned into another monarchy. Definitely on my list for favorite books of 2019 so far, but I have yet to see if it will top the list like her previous book, The Thousandth Floor, did in 2016. So we shall see about that. The second book I received is Frankly in Love by David Yoon. I have heard nothing but good buzz about this book, and I can't wait to start it. While I love them, majority of the books I read aren't contemporary. It's not my forte. That being said, for some reason I've always been drawn to contemporary books where the protagonists are guys, because I'm a girl. That's weird, but what I mean to say is I know how girls fall in love, so it's nice and refreshing to see how guys fall in love. So it's a story about this Korean American student named Frank Lee. He was born and raised in America. I think on the back of the cover it says that he doesn't really know how to speak Korean, so he's completely westernized, and his parents, I don't know what they call it in Korean culture, but in Chinese Filipino culture there's this thing called the Great Wall. There are some Chinese Filipino families who only let their kids date other Chinese Filipino families, so that's what this book is kind of hinting towards, but the Korean version. So his parents want him to only date Koreans. Lo and behold, he ends up falling in love for a white girl. I want to see how this book plays out. I want to see the kind of similarities between Chinese Filipino culture and Korean American culture. I don't know, I just think it's gonna be such a cute book. The next book I received was Wilder Girls by Rory Powell. Now this is also an ARC, but it's actually already been released. This is giving me dystopian, apocalyptic thriller vibes. Main gist of the story is that there was an apocalyptic event or a plague that spread through the land, and they're all quarantined in this school or building, and one girl disappears. So now her friend has to make the decision whether or not she wants to brave the plague-ridden lands or stay safely in the quarantine building. Dude, I was a teenager during the height of dystopian fiction. Of course I'm gonna love this book. The second to the last book from Penguin Random House is The Babysitter's Coven by Kate Williams. I want to do more research on this, and if it's the same Kate Williams who writes historical nonfiction, that would be quite the genre leap. It's a story about two girls, one who's like, she has a babysitter's club because she's nerdy that way, and then one day this totally hot girl comes and joins the club, and she's like, why do you want to join my club? You're freaking hot. Why do you want to babysit? And then she finds out that babysitters are apparently a part of this witchy, mystical, magical race. So it sounds absolutely bonkers, and I want to see how it'll play out, if it's gonna be cheesy or if it's gonna be over the top ridiculously hilarious. Also, I mean, I grew up with The Babysitter's Club. How do you expect me not to fall in love with a book called The Babysitter's Coven? It's like, who are you? It's me, but witchier. The last book I received from Penguin Random House will also segue us into the fully booked part of this video. The last book I received from Penguin Random House is an arc of Gumiho by Kat Cho. Now this is based on Korean mythology. Gumiho, if you don't know, is a mythological fox in Korean mythology. A mythological fox in Korean mythology. Talk about being redundant. I first heard about this creature in Ellen O's Prophecy series, and I really love the Gumiho character there. I'm guessing this plays out as urban fantasy. I've only read, you know, Western mythology set in urban fantasy, like fairies and vampires. So, but a lot of the Eastern mythology I've read have been set in period books or set in fantasy books, like completely removed from today. I'm just about to laugh right now because, okay, this is not the first copy of Gumiho I received. In fact, it's not the first, it's not the second, it's not the third, but the fourth copy that we have received of this book. Segueing into the fully booked part of this video, Fully Booked did send us 3 copies of Gumiho, which do have signed book plates. Probably by the time this video comes up, it will have been announced that we are giving all 3 copies away. When Fully Booked sent us these 3 books, they were like, keep it, read it, use it as a giveaway, do whatever you want with it, which I was like, are you serious? So I actually asked the other members of Bookworms Unite, I was like, oh, can I keep a copy because I have not read it yet? And they were like, sure, go ahead. And then I received the arc and I was like, you know what? Let's give away all 3. Let's spread the love of reading because I have another copy with me, guys. I don't know what do. I don't know the mechanics yet. We are still ironing that out, but by the time I edit and post this video, it will have been ironed out, and I'll for sure leave the information down in the description. So after I gave my preferred genres, they sent me 2 books, the first of which is Fireborn by Rosaria Munda, and it's set in a fantasy world where there are dragons and dragon riders. Now, despite me being a self-professed fantasy fanatic, and despite dragons and dragon riders being quite a cliche fantasy trope, I've never actually read a book with one. Like, I only saw the movie Aragon. Please don't shoot me. I know it was terrible. I think the closest I've gotten to that trope would be Throne of Glass with Manon and Abraxas, although technically he's a wyvern thing. But I've never read one, and this seems like it has a childhood friends to enemies to lovers kind of trope going on. So I think this is a post-revolution war book in that fantasy world, and these 2 orphans grow up together learning how to be dragon riders, and then competition, and then I'm guessing they fall in love. I kind of like the sort of almost old school design. You know, sometimes YA covers are so intricate and it's beautiful, but also this kind of throws back to like early 2000s YA books, and I'm kind of loving it. The last book I received in the mail would be The Beautiful by Renee Audier, and oh my goodness, the announcement of this book came across my radar and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I hope to pick it up when it comes out, and then it did. Based on the summary, it doesn't hint at it, but did I hear something that this had vampires in it? I read somewhere that this is actually a vampire book, like throwing it back to the 2000s where vampire YA was everywhere, and this is sort of an homage to that time period, and it's set in the 1800s, the late 1800s, which is my favorite niche historical period, and I'm secretly hoping this does better than Stalking Jack the Ripper, but that's for another video. But it's set in New Orleans, again another place that has always intrigued me and is one of my US bucket list places to visit. Time, setting, I'm interested. Throwback to early 2000s vampires, sure, why not? Murder mysteries that I think is going to be solved by it was a vampire doing it. I could be hallucinating this whole thing and it's not actually about vampires and I'm just gonna sound stupid, but I'm gonna give it a read and let you know if vampires are indeed involved. Why do I really want vampires to be involved? So that about does it for today's video. You can follow me on my other bookish adventures on Twitter. I'm at Cuckoo for Books. On Instagram, I'm at Cuckoo for Books, but also at Salva Villarosa. And then I'm also gonna leave a link down below to the social media accounts of Bookworms Unite PH because we will be having a giveaway for the 3 signed copies of Gumiho. Please subscribe and I will see you guys very soon. Bye guys!